When you feel tension or apprehension or fear, when you feel blame or guilt, when you're worried, when you're angry, you're not in vibrational sync with who you really are. And that's the thing that we want you to understand. That's what we want you to hear. It's not that you're not up to speed with something that is outside of you. It's not that you're not meeting some criteria that someone outside of you has assigned. It's that you're not up to speed with you. It's because your life caused you to expand, and you're not taking the expansion because you're stuck in the beating of the drum of what we lovingly like to call your version of what is itis. In other words, this is what is. This is the truth of what is. I don't have enough money. 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 But you do have a vibrational escrow which will translate itself into abundance of all manner, including financial fortune. But if you are on the vibration of I don't have enough money, you're not moving into the vortex, and you're not recognizing or realizing or following the trail. You're not sniffing it out. You're not rendezvousing. You're not in the right place at the right time. You're not hooking up with those that have the way. You are vibrationally out of sync with your own desire. And every time, no exceptions, that you are out of sync with your own desire, better said, out of sync with who you really are. Better said, out of sync with the larger part of you. Better said, out of sync with everything, including the larger part of you who is in your vortex. You must be a cooperative component to everything that you're asking for before it can manifest in your experience. And your awareness of what caused you to ask keeps you from being a match to what you've asked for. Do you ever find yourself so wanting to be understood by someone who doesn't understand that you just keep explaining where you're at? Maybe if I tell it one more time in a louder voice, this person will get me. And we say, give it up. Instead of trying to explain or justify or defend or rationalize, instead of trying to make things happen from outside the vortex, just let it go and focus upon something that is slight or absent of resistance. And it is our promise to you that when you're not pulling against the current of your own vortex, you'll move in easily. It's also our promise that you will move in eventually. We just don't think you should have to croak to do it. The question is not, will you join the larger part of you? The question is, will you do it willingly? And that's really what this gathering is about. We want to show you how to release your patterns of thought that are the only thing that are keeping you from what's in your vortex. We want to show you how to release beliefs that are contrary to desires. And when you release beliefs that are contrary to desires, your desires dominate, and you're a vibrational match to them, and then they must manifest in your experience. There are so many practical minds today out there annoyed even at the concept of law of attraction, saying, but what about all those people who I know very well wanted this and this and this and this, and they're not getting it. So don't tell me all you have to do is identify what you want and you get it, because there are all kinds of people, they will say, especially me, who want things that I am not getting. This law of attraction stuff stinks, they will say. And we say, law of attraction is so valid and so accurate that it always gives you a perfect reflection of how you feel about every single thing. And what trips so many of you up is that you feel validated and justified in feeling the way you feel about things because you say, this is what reality is, and I've been taught to face reality. So I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling it like it is. And we say, don't do that. And you say, oh, that upsets everything that I've been taught from the beginning of listening. I've been taught that I'm supposed to face reality and admit to it, own up to it. And we say, if you let what is be what you give your dominant attention to, you cannot move into what you're asking for from your place of knowing what is. You have to let go of what is in order to go to what you are desiring. Now we know some of what is exactly what you want. Give your undivided attention to that. That's wonderful. But if there are things in your experience that are not as you want them to be, you've got to find a way to focus upon what it is you want. And it's so much easier than you know, because when you know what you don't want, you always know what you do want. You're just not a vibrational match to it yet, but if you will try just a little bit, you can shift your vibration. You can train yourself. You can train yourself into a higher frequency. You can train yourself into the belief of what you want. You can do it. You just have to know about frequencies. You can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM. The frequencies have to match up. The transmission and the reception have to be on the same vibrational wavelength. So when you've been beating the drum of something that is right now in your manifested reality, a condition in your body you don't want, or a condition in your bank account that you don't want, or a situation regarding relationships that you don't want, as you focus upon it and talk about it, what you're doing without realizing it is you're practicing the vibration and making that the easy vibration to find. It's like making a little groove that you go to easily. When you think a thought, that thought is a vibration. And as it vibrates, it's attracting other things like it. And if you focus there just for a little while, you'll get a pretty strong and therefore a pretty robust vibration about that going on. And the more robust that vibration is, the more it's drawing power, until soon you'll have a manifestation and you'll say, see? I knew I was onto something. I knew that bad thing was on its way to me, and there it is. And we say, of course, whatever is your expectation becomes your reality. We just want you to know that you have choices that you're often not exercising because we love you very much. You're lazy. And we mean that in the nicest way. So this gathering is about coming into alignment with who you really are. We've been talking about alignment for many, many years in this sort of a setting or forum. First, we said to you, when you desire something and you believe otherwise, you are splitting your energy. But when your desire and your belief are in the same place, now you're in a place where it can be manifested. We talked to you about your inner being. We talked to you about this stream that flows in the direction of who you really are. And today we are talking about this vortex of creation. We know we're hard to explain to your friends who aren't here. What went on in that meeting, well, it's hard to explain. Well, try. Well, there's this man who calls his wife Abraham. And she must be some sort of a multiple personality, because she refers to herself as they and we. And recently she's taken to drawing a big circle on the floor and insisting that it's a vortex, and telling us all we should go there. We are endlessly looking for ways to help you focus on a vibration that you cannot translate through your physical senses. Your physical reality is so intoxicating to you because you see it with your eyes and hear it with your ears and smell it with your nose and taste it with your tongue and feel it. It's this tactile reality. You say it's real because I'm translating it, and so are others. And we want you to know that there is a vibrational reality that is more real than the reality that you're translating. It's just that you can't translate it with your eyes and ears. It's a vibration that is translated through your emotional sensors. It's a vibration that lets you know. In other words, how do you describe the sensation? In other words, there's smelling and there's seeing. Yes. There's tasting and there's touching. But what about knowing? Can we call knowing a sense? What about believing? Is believing a sense? Is hoping a sense? In other words, these are emotions, but don't you just love the taste of ice cream? And don't you just love the taste or the knowing of your own worthiness? Don't you just love the alignment of source? Don't you just love being tuned in, tapped in, turned on, a vibrational extension of all that you are, here focused in this body? Yes, seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching and knowing and loving and fully functioning as source energy in a physical body. That's what you came for. Not one of you said, I'll go forth and I'll pinch myself off from knowing and loving. I'll pinch myself off. I'll sacrifice who I am. I'll struggle and I'll make it happen. And we say, you're getting carried away with that. You're carried away with that. In other words, it's so interesting to watch so many of you making your decisions and making your action from outside the vortex when it's really, 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 really hard. Jerry and Esther were laughing because they were just here just a few months ago. And when they left here, their monster bus broke down on Highway 80. Just stopped. Wasn't easy to get off the road either. It's big. No power steering, no brakes, no engine. It just stopped. And Jerry and Esther looked at each other. No cell phone service either. And Esther said, I think I would like to live here for the rest of my life. How do you feel about this beautiful place? Jerry said, how much water do we have on board? And then they began to laugh because before they were here, they were in San Antonio. And when they were in San Antonio for 9 days, Esther had a long list of things to do, and she was going to make it happen or die trying. And Jerry was in the vortex. And Esther attributed him being in the vortex to the fact that she had the list. When you're not in the vortex, you can justify anything. So Jerry is bounding around the properties, entertaining everyone. He's working with the building crew. He's making plans. He was just flowing with the stream. He was tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And Esther was smiling and polite and working very hard to get everything done. And Jerry said, I think I'm going to take the bus over to Detroit Diesel. We haven't had it serviced for a while. And Esther said, well, we're on our way to Marathon. Can't we do it there? And Jerry said, I don't know. I just feel like I'd like to take it over. And Esther said, it's 50 miles over there. And if they need to keep it, everything I need is in it. And we have such a short period of time as she began defending her out of the vortex position. And now as they're sitting on the side of the road, have you ever seen a 45-foot tour bus towed? It was very interesting. And it had a big hole in the big intake air. And so that's why they hadn't had much power in the mountains, and it's why they were off on the side of the road. And then Esther said to Jerry, I'm having an epiphany. From now on, in our family, let's make a deal. The one who's in the vortex gets to call the shots from now on. And then Esther thought of how many times and how many mothers, usually mothers, isn't mother usually calling the shots? And isn't she usually the last one to be in the vortex? Her feeling of responsibility is so great. Her feeling of sacrifice often is amplified. In other words, you get what we're talking about, don't you? In other words, it's so easy to focus upon the details of life and get bogged down to the point that you're not even a distant memory of the true being that you really are. And then the harder it goes, the harder you dig in, and the harder you dig in, the more you justify, and the more you justify, the harder it goes, and the harder it goes, the more you dig in, until you have a breakdown on the side of the road. And so we want to talk about getting in the vortex. We want to talk about making it your highest priority. We want to talk about getting in the vortex because that's where you rendezvous with all of your clarity and all of your power, all of your wisdom, all of your knowing, all of your balance, all of your stamina, all of your well-being. That's where you rendezvous with everything you want. That's where you meet up with everything that you've put there, you see. And to spend any time doing anything else. Now we know, Jerry and Esther have laughed about it even since then, because they are always focusing and always wanting to be in the vortex. But sometimes things just happen, and when you focus, you're not.